this is a guide for the Mercenary Dione. I'll be going over how the Mercenary works, how to build them, and most importantly, how to use them. Dione is an exalted rarity warrior, with a specific classification of her being a Slayer. Dione has a skip attack type with her AoE tiles being 1 tile ahead and 1 tile behind. I will now talk about her skills at max rank. Her first skill is named Domain of Truth. This skill makes it so that Dione ignores any form of AoE reduction, as well as enabling her to ignore enemy taunts. Her second skill is named Accelerate. This skill allows Dione to attack 4 times instead of once when attacking. In addition, this skill increases Dione's maximum attack boost threshold from 300% to 500%. If you didn't know, a Mercenary can only have a maximum attack boost of 300%. This is so you cannot hyper boost a Mercenary and give them like a billion attack. Her third skill is named Shadow Blade Dance. This skill deals direct additional damage that scales off of Dione's attack. Also, if this direct damage hits a mage, that damage is doubled. Additionally, this skill deals HP consumed damage, scaling off of the enemy's maximum HP. Note that this additional damage activates a whopping 4 times because of Dione's second skill, both the direct damage and HP consumed damage. Her fourth skill is named No Retreat. This skill restrains the damage Dione receives to only deal a maximum of 90% of her max HP. For example, if Dione has 1000 HP and took 1 million damage, Dione would only take 190 damage, since 19% of 1000 HP is 190. In other words, you have to hit her with 6 individual instances of damage to kill her. For my recommendation as to what skill level your Dione should be, since she's an Exalted Mercenary, it makes it so that she works completely fine at +0. However, some notable skill spikes are +3 due to upgrading her maximum HP restraint from 31% to 24%. In more understandable terms, this makes it so that now, she has to be hit with 5 individual instances of damage instead of 4. In short, this skill spike just makes her more tanky. Another skill spike is her +5 due to upgrading her attack boost threshold from 400% to 500%. In short, this upgrade is a pretty significant boost to her damage. And finally, +7, due to upgrading her maximum HP restraint again from 24% to 19%. In more understandable terms, this makes it so that now, she has to be hit with 6 individual instances of damage instead of 5. In short, this upgrade just makes her even more tanky. In my opinion, you can stop leveling up Dione's skills when she reaches +7, as her +8 and beyond aren't really significant enough to be worth investing in. For runes, the best to run on Dione are 2 attack percent runes, both with a subset of flat attack. I recommend both runes to be, at minimum, 6-star runes, with an epic plus rarity, as well as their stats being equal to or higher than the one presented on screen. For a mythic rune, I would recommend running either a penetration and attack percent mythic rune, or a double penetration mythic rune. With either choice, their subset should be attack percent. Though, don't worry if you don't have this subset, it's not make or break. For her Insignia of Creed, I wouldn't recommend getting them as it's quite expensive, 900 diamonds per slot, and her insignias aren't necessary for her to perform well. However, if you do have diamonds to burn, then her insignias should be the following: Reaper's Scythe, Goddess's Spear, Raging Storm, Piercing, and finally either Aggressive Instinct, Hurricane, Trained Within, or Phoenix Feather. For soul gear, I would highly recommend leveling them all up to be level 10, just for that one additional skill level, as exalted skill books are kinda hard to come by. Additionally, if you're planning to upgrade to level 25 soul gear, you should only level 25 her weapon and amulet, though it's not necessary for her to function. Lastly, when you're upgrading her amulet to level 25, you should refine its stats to be double attack percent. However, if you want to save your exalted amulet refinements for other exalted mercenaries, 1 flat attack and 1 attack percent works fine. For rank boosting Dione, it's not necessary, but you can if you want to increase her attack stat more. Dione's main purpose is to destroy line formation teams due to her attack type, AoE tiles, as well as ignoring any AoE reduction the enemy team might have. However, in general, you really don't have to think too hard about how to use Dione. Her versatility and high damage output allows her to be easily slotted in any warrior team. Now for pros and cons. For pros, she attacks multiple times, which is naturally good against HP restraint enemies. She is also surprisingly tanky thanks to her own HP restraint, and she gets even more tanky when buffed by a Mary White or Delsahine. Most importantly, she ignores AoE reduction effects, which allows her to counter the Aegis spell card and the Viper spell card, which are both very good defensive spell cards. Also, don't forget that she ignores taunt, which allows her to maximize her damage by preventing her from hitting an isolated taunt tank. And lastly, due to her dealing direct damage and HP consumed damage, it makes her attacks quite difficult to tank against. However, some cons are that Dione's AoE tiles are actually quite average. This isn't too big of a deal as most warriors can only affect one lane at a time, but still, it's quite an important con to mention. A larger con is that Dione has literally 0 immunities. Therefore, this makes her quite vulnerable to CC effects such as stuns, shocks, and charms. And lastly, Dione actually requires a lot of investment to reach her full tankiness, as it's unlocked behind +7. +7 may not seem like too big of a deal, but remember that Dione is an exalted mercenary, a mercenary rank designed to have a slow skill up system. For some synergies, Dione's top synergy is Mary White, due to her bestowing incredible buffs to warriors, especially the guard. The guard on Dione is critical for her having the incredible combo of HP restraint and guard, where the guard protects Dione from receiving HP consumed damage, and the HP restraint reduces the direct damage she receives. Also, Mary White can make Dione debuff immune for a short duration, which is nice. Another strong synergy is Delsahine. She also provides a guard and high damage buffs. However, I rate her lower than Mary White, due to Mary White just handing out so many more powerful buffs than Delsahine. Another strong synergy is Venus, due to the fact that she can bestow an additional turn to Dione and not have her suffer the negative effects of it. as Dione can ignore Venus's AoE reduction effect, and also she could survive Venus's direct damage due to her HP restraint. Dione also has a solid synergy with Ida due to her regeneration barrier, as this allows Dione to keep on healing back to full HP when taking damage. When this healing is combined with her high HP restraint and guard, this makes it that the enemy must one-shot her by dealing 6 instances of damage in a single attack, else she will live practically forever. Also, Ida is just a solid mercenary to have on your team due to her being a tank when you have her AoG skill, as well as being a great buffer if you have her bless skill. Dione also works well with Ride, as Ride pretty much bestows invincibility to a mercenary, so naturally this will synergize strongly with Dione. The only counter to Ride's invincibility is either waiting the immortality out, reducing Ride's tiles, or forcefully removing the immortality via nullifiers or duration cut. Additionally, you can also have some fun with Helena if you have her, since Helena synergizes really well with multi-attackers. This makes it that Helena gives an additional 4 turns to mercenaries every time they attack, so Dione attacking 4 times allows her to get 4 additional turns. For some good matchups, she pretty much kills anyone, but some notable mercenaries that she could reliably one-shot are Dione, Claudia, and Wester due to her multiple instances of direct damage, and she can also possibly one-shot AoG Ida only if the Ida doesn't have 100% defense or 99.9% barrier. And lastly, her multi-attack allows her to shred through Lucius's Death Guard. However, some mercenaries that counter Dione are Ride, as she can render Dione's strong damage output useless due to her making mercenaries invincible. But not only that, Ride can also possibly one-shot Dione with her counterattacks if your Dione attacks without a guard buff. Glacia can also counter Dione as her unique tanking gimmick allows her to survive lethal damage. She can also freeze Dione when damaged, which stops Dione from attacking, but having Glacia tank Dione is quite inconsistent due to her ignoring taunt. Additionally, Mary White provides Dione with a short duration of debuff immunity, so therefore it's even more inconsistent to freeze Dione. Prion can also counter Dione with a similar reasoning to Glacia. Prion cannot die to Dione if his super taunt is active. However, again, due to Dione ignoring taunt, it's quite hard to consistently have Prion tank Dione. Notable mercenaries that could one-shot Dione are Diane and Dione, even when buffed by Mary White or Delphine due to their multi-attack. Indra can also mess up Dione sometimes due to her having no immunities. This is because Indra's burn can not only chip her HP, but also change her attack type to front, limiting the amount of enemies she hits. Claudia can also abuse the fact that Dione is not debuff immune, and thus cheese her out by charming her if she is placed in the backmost position. Helga can indirectly counter Dione due to her global buff prohibition blocking Mary White's buffs, which can significantly reduce Dione's damage output and tankiness. And finally, the most important question of all, should you build Dione? My answer is yes. This is because Dione's damage, tankiness, and overall versatility allows her to easily perform in any warrior team. Additionally, even though Dione's biggest skill spike is at +7, she is still completely usable at +0. Overall, Dione is just a really good mercenary to get, and I highly recommend getting her if you're building a warrior team. And that's all. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll try my best to answer them. Thanks for watching.